And now we're live.
That was a very fancy intro.
Yeah, we always got the fancy intros. Production value is being upped on a day-to-day basis. I added music to the podcast, and I was like, wow, I feel special.
Yeah.
Feel super special.
I don't want to know what kind of music.
Listen, Jay, it's your kind of music.
Roller derby theme music. But,
roller derby.
Honestly, maybe. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. Anyways, we're back with another one of these Q&A market talk episodes. For those that weren't here, the last one we did this in January. We're just gonna have the guys and me kind of chop up what's going on, answer any questions you guys have. I'll be watching the chat for any questions you have for Jay, Ronchero, or even myself. Lucci is supposed to join us. He got caught up on something, so he'll be joining us a little bit later. And since everyone loves the Flow Show so much, I didn't want to take away from some of the stuff Jay typically talks about. So, we're going to kind of start off with Jay going through his typical setup that he does in the Flow Show and what he's seeing in market sentiment. So, Jay, it's all you, man.
All right. Let me grab. Should I grab? Yeah, let me grab the screen. Oh, you got to throw it.
Yeah, you can do the screen. Just go to present at the bottom, and you can.
You want me to do that?
You have to do that.
Good point.
If you say
so. You can do
this. I have faith in you.
This is a little easier to navigate, it looks like.
It is. I love that you say that because you never know. I might make you do this.
But let's see. Did I do it right? It could be 2 for 2 here.
Look at that.
Wow.
Right?
I just have to add it to the stage. Look at that. My job's easy.
All right. Let me blow this up here. I should have done that, but I didn't realize. Okay. All right, so we'll start off, I guess, the same way we would start the Flow Show off. We kind of go back to what we discussed last Thursday and kind of tie it into what we have seen so far this week. And if you guys remember, last week we kind of discussed how this leg down was rather aggressive. Not only just the price action, but the amount of de-risking, and you probably hear that term a lot over the last couple of weeks, meaning funds, players, all these overexposed players in the market in regards to systematic funds, hedge funds, all that stuff we go over. Sometimes they get caught off sides and they aggressively sell, which kind of snowballs and cascades and create that weaker price action, right? Other times they're a little more stubborn and they're reluctant to sell. They kind of hang on a little bit and the market forces them in a sense. Here, this leg down, you had a lot of the systematic funds, the CTAs. You see a lot of that on Twitter too now, people talking about it, really have taken down their exposure from long to short. So that's pretty dramatic in one leg down. And a lot of times when you get a aggressive amount of de-risking in a small period of time, and you line that up with kind of the short-term sentiment being washed out, internals and breadth being washed out, the other things we were looking at, it creates a nice little floor, right? And I like to refer to it as more of kind of some stability, right? You get a little relief, okay? Because, again, the logic behind it is all those funds that were caught and needed to take down their exposure, they did it in such a short amount of time that now you have less supply hitting the market, right? So that's kind of where we left off last Thursday. We kind of painted it as we're in this relief stability period, but not to necessarily expect what we're used to seeing in a lot of this bull market where we get these V-shaped recoveries and all the normal retail favorite names take the lead and push new highs, right? This was likely going to be different because of how long in the tooth a lot of that positioning, how crowded that positioning has become, right? If you remember before the actual correction, that's kind of what our concern was, that if there was a shift in momentum, that you would have a lot of the professional money, retail money caught off sides, and it could be a problem, okay? So we're dealing with that now. And now it's kind of, here's the tricky part where a lot of people want to get into the prediction game. They always do. I mean, that's obviously the exciting, the fun part, right? People like to pound their chest, get something right on the prediction side. But we made the point last week, if you you have the luxury of being in an elevated cash position and sidestep this downdraft, you still want to be patient because this is not what you're in cash for. Okay, what we're in cash for is when buyers step in, when real buyers step in, and there's some leadership, and the real turn shows up. You don't need to nail the lows to make a shitload of money if there's going to be a new leg higher, right? A new bull market, a new uptrend, whatever it may be.
Bro, we're in cash to short shit. What the hell are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about, bro?
Where did he come from?
I go to
He
cash.
came out
so
of nowhere just to fuck with your flow.
I go to cash so I can short the shit out of APP.
You saw that today? Oh my God. We got to talk about that too, because there was some interesting action there. But yeah, and I mean, listen, the short side, even now you could see, right? Some of the better flow is still on the short side. Even some of the cleaner moves in individual names after the recent little bump we've seen seem, to me anyway, seem to be on the short side. But I guess to get to the point I'm getting at here is, for me, and you guys have heard this term or statement from me for a while now, especially in market time, right? In market terms, there's nothing out there that's getting me excited on the long side. Okay, I get it. Tesla's got been crushed, and it looks cheap to everybody and their mother. And a lot of people use that as an excuse just to buy because it's down so much. But we went over how that could be a problem, right? Post the COVID bull market, you had hockey sticks in all of the leader names, all of the high growth names, all of the Kathy Wood names, the stay at home names, all did nothing when the market bottomed in 2022 and started that new bull market. Okay, they were dead money. So what you got to be careful about is you don't want to just go in there and jump and buy stuff just because it's down a lot, because it may not be ultimately where the money rotates into when it's all said and done. Okay, it possibly could be, right? We've been through corrections where it's the same names that lead us out. But there are some signs out there that this go around may not be it. I mean, look at the semis, right? A lot of people thought that the semis couldn't go any lower even if we went into correction.
NVIDIA's going to 90s. NVIDIA's going to fucking 90s.
Right. Like you still have these names that people are trying to find bottoms. They still believe. And until they give up on that bullish thesis, and we're starting to see cracks, bro. I can't believe it because it felt like it would never come. But we're really starting to see cracks, and especially you, Lucci. You never thought.
I was waiting on Never to show up. I was literally waiting on fucking Never. The best names that you're talking about are MasterCard and Netflix. If you look at those two,
these are
I don't know why, but
these things just don't crack now.
Yeah, they're scooping those things up. But even the banks, and those were previously, the money ball over there. And the only thing good now on the long side is fucking gold.
Gold
and
there's a lot to talk about in this morning. Gold's another thing,
and maybe some of those Coca-Cola names or whatever that you'd be talking about.
Yeah, but the other thing is too, like you think you're safe, and that's the beauty. You like to see this, even if I know Lucci likes to see it, but even if you're a bull and you've been in cash, you want to see the stuff we're seeing in this market because the job is getting done, right? That full cleansing that we wanted. Okay, that's the only way you're going to get that better breadth and better participation when the turn comes is if you get that full cleansing. And what Lucci's pointing out now is like, there's no hiding place, right? Everywhere people go to hide, they eventually find them, whether it's tariffs, whether it's, muddy waters, no matter, something shows up and bites them in the ass. And that's a good sign. Okay. So I guess to put a bow on it all, right? Just to
you've been trying to put a bow on it for the last 10 minutes, son.
I know. I'm trying to merge the flow show and kind of what we're doing here.
Damn.
With Lucci's late arrival, all in one little smorgasbord here. But I still think we're in kind of a wait and see mode here, and let the price action, let the flow come to us, and let it do the talking, as opposed to trying to front run all that, because that's where you can get in trouble. Because the worst, and put earmuffs, Lucci, you may not want to hear this, the worst of the price action could be over. Like this could
It's
be
true.
it
It's
in
true.
regards to the sell-off.
No,
right?
it's true.
But it doesn't mean that upside momentum, especially the type of upside momentum where you can get sloppy long, is here yet. And that's what you got to be really careful about.
That's what what did I read? 67 billion of retail money is in right now, but no CTAs are following those knuckleheads here, right?
Yeah. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Basically, it's this: you got retail who got blown up in the options game, call side. Okay, yep. They had calls in PLTR, APP, HIMS, kept chasing those names. They blew themselves up in the option game. So all that euphoria is gone. But now what they've migrated to are the equities. So now they're dip buying names like Tesla, NVIDIA, thinking, I got a bargain here. If I have time, if I just buy the equity, I'll be okay, right? So you have retail doing all the buying here while institutions, right, the funds, they're not doing a damn thing. They're literally sitting on their hands, haven't bought a thing. Retail is the main buyer on the positioning side of things here. And it can be right. A lot of times you'll see retail, they look right short term. I'll give you an example, Ronchero. You remember the DeepSeek sell-off initially?
Of course.
Okay. Remember you and I were talking about, I think NVIDIA had the most amount of retail buying ever for a single day off the DeepSeek sell-off.
Yep.
Okay. That bounced, if you remember, right? They felt good about it, but then it gave it all up, right?
Yeah.
So that's, you see kind of temporary relief, and then eventually they shake them out.
Yeah.
But we're waiting on the big money to start to put the money to work. You know, kind of your philosophy, Ronchero, isn't it? Like, you don't want to catch a falling knife. You don't want to buy things when it looks awful. You want some constructive signs to show up before you jump in.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of how you look at it.
I would rather average on the way back up than be an idiot and average on the way down. That is a loser's mentality to average down.
Yeah.
What about average down to shorts, though?
Yeah. Now that's a whole nother story.
We're roll
your shorts down, baby.
We're in a correction. So if we don't spend enough time on the dark side for Lucci, it's not right. It's not right.
I mean, let's start it off, man. What's up with your boy who bought the $1 million in APP before the fucking news came out? Come on.
I feel bad if we don't spend enough time crying. He deserves it. All right, so listen. Lucci's referring to anybody who wasn't around this afternoon. You had APP, right? Selling a little bit, right? Early on, no major selling, but had a little weakness to it early on here. You can see here, right? A little bit of selling and then kind of mellowed out here.
Yeah.
And initially, I think it was off the open. You had a couple little put sweeps, just kind of poking around. Now, APP doesn't catch a whole lot of action.
No,
so anything is going to get your attention. But, just look like players playing some downside. There was some weakness in these momentum names. Then, all of a sudden, you had some real sneaky rat bastard there, where somebody comes in and hammers some puts. Hang on, I'll find them right here because I posted them on Twitter. Here it is.
I think the reference price was like 310.
Yeah, right here. So right here on the bottom there, right? So you can see kind of small little weekly sweeps ahead of it early on in the day. And then this guy at 9:41 in the morning, look at this, $1 million sweep, 305s when it was almost $314. And then in the afternoon, these are the morning ones, right before the Muddy Waters, maybe 20 minutes or so, they hit it again. And that's where you had this right here. You see it sticks out like a sore thumb. And believe it or not, I saw people on Twitter talking about how they were buying off the Muddy Waters news because they thought that it would squeeze off that news. So they got hammered too, because this thing really accelerated to the downside. But where did these things end up, this APP put? Anybody know? Like how much this guy ended up making on that?
Well, pull that option up. Joe, pull that option up and see where that shit closed. See where that shit closed. I guarantee it was at least a 5xer. I'm thinking more of a 10xer. I mean, that order is making me want to put my notifications up again for order.
Look. So
because I missed that shit. And then the news comes out, Muddy Waters, blah, 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 blah. And then boom, 10 points down. We're trading in the 90s. We're trading 295, 296. So I'm like, all right, I ain't going to chase this. And then 2 hours go by. I look back at it. It's at 250.
Crazy.
What was it? Was it the 250s for April 4th?
So yeah, the big bet was at 9:41 in the morning.
They were 305 puts. They were 305 puts. They were 305 puts.
Oh, 305 puts.
They were 305 puts. 10xer. 10x.
The bid is 46.20. The ask is 50.50.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my
that's after a 5-10 point rally at the close. You know what I'm saying?
Now look at this though, Luke. That was the morning, right? And then you look in the afternoon. Like, look at this guy here. This was 11:41, so a little later in the morning. And this is where I mentioned, like, you had a few put sweeps already. And then what time was this? What was the time? Oh, 11:41. So it was like a couple hours before the Muddy Waters. It was definitely tied to that. Come on, I mean, that's the obvious, right? That's the obvious. It was definitely tied to that.
What was the price they paid for those?
I thought I posted the line. I don't know why it's not showing on here. I definitely posted the line. These here, oh no, these are April 260s for 400 grand at 1140. Like that right there is a decent sweep for APP, right? Like 400 grand, 360 grand. That's a decent size sweep. But this $1 million one was pretty big. I don't see it here. I don't know what he paid here. Hold on. I can get it in 2 seconds.
Yeah, pull it up and see what he paid. I mean, you can see it on the chart. You can see the big candle, Joe, wherever if that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm just curious, like, what the fuck this guy? I'll just go look at time and sales.
All right, so he paid $10.
Paid $10. He paid $10. That shit went
5x.
That shit went 5x, 6x.
Yeah,
for a milli, bro.
Pocket change.
Fucking milli. I saw that thing at 350 the other day, a couple days ago, and I'm like, this is a fucking short here, and I couldn't do it.
Hey, let me ask you a question from your standpoint. Now that you've seen this and you see a little bounce in the after hours, how and because of that sweep, that headline that we got, is there in fact a class action suit, or is there allegedly one pending? Is this just a headline for these guys who were playing the name to get paid and now get the hell out of there?
Yeah, that's a good question. Faces class action suit. I don't know. You never know with these short blogs. Sometimes they concoct shit out of their ass, and other times, they really do their homework and they catch on to shit. So I haven't really looked into it. I really don't know the details. But and that's why I think a lot of like the retail on Twitter they were jumping to buy that off that Muddy Waters headline, because a lot of times you get that flush, right? You see that one candle and then it bounces from there, right? It's the worst of it.
But that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. If you're telling me it's retail that's in right now and nobody else is in, I'm going to go even deeper shorter tomorrow, baby. That's it. Swing account is getting doubled in cash, and I'm going short.
Nobody else is in here. I'll show you a chart that pretty much tells it all. Watch. I'll show you. Hold on.
That's it. That's it. We're going balls deep. We're going balls deep fucking short. Long gold, balls deep short.
Let's see. Do I kind of find? Oh yeah. It should be on here. Hold on.
That PLTR got back down to 90. I'm short this thing too.
All right. So you see this on the bottom, Luch, here?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is basically last week in the light blue and the last month in the dark blue. Okay. Here's retail. They've done buying last week and the last month. Okay. Corporate, those are buybacks, right? So those aren't players. Those are buybacks. Funds, hedge funds, sellers, both week and month. Institutions, more aggressive sellers. So retail is the only buyer. Buybacks are in a blackout now because we're going into earnings season. So they can't do much buyback right now. So all it is retail right now. And bro, we see it in the flow too on the call side. I mean, you see how pitiful the action has been? It's pitiful. Basically, all the action has been Tesla weeklies. Calls, puts, depending on the momentum that day. Yesterday was puts. Today it was calls for most of the morning into the afternoon. Like here's my top bet list for today. J-Bill Circuit. It was one sweep April's. Like there's no buying out there. It's a buyer strike out there. Here's a chart of hedge funds, right? And you can see that right next to that zero mark. You want to see them get aggressively short here, and then they get squeezed. But right now they're kind of in no man's land. So retail's doing the only buying. The bulk of the buying right now. The bulk of the buying.
Great. I'm gonna double up all my shorts. Double up all my shorts.
But I think, Luke, to your point, I think names is where the alpha is going to be more so than the index.
All right. Well, you tell me right now. You've been seeing all the April and May put flow. Obviously, you've been seeing this on every single one of these names, including SPY and all this shit. Tesla, you name it. You've been seeing it. So, what do you think of those of all that flow lining up for April for a big correction?
Yeah, I think what happened was you had that leg down, and that puts, obviously they get excited, everybody's shorting, making money off the momentum, right? Then you get stability and you get a bounce, and that put buying kind of dried up. But over the last few days, they're picking some spots and getting aggressive again because look, like APP, you had this downdraft, and then you had a little rebound here, kind of into that upside niner, right? So once that momentum stalls there, that's where put buyers are going to step in and try to catch a leg down there, you know? So you got to kind of like look towards these names that had a little relief rally and the momentum dies out, and that's where you got to look to try to hit them on the short side.
Well, I mean, if they keep coming after this, though, you can make an argument to see this thing fill that gap.
Oh, yeah, they get in the middle. Yeah, I mean, look at this thing. Come on.
Look at this shit. Look at
I mean, it's right there staring you in the face.
That chart looks times 20 or times 200. All the other shit that I'm looking at. PLTR looks the same.
Yep.
The
hymns that ran out of gas. You see the hymns?
People got fucked in that thing.
Yeah, look at this.
But I'm depressed that I got smoked on that thing because I couldn't believe it got up to 70, and then boom, that right there is a once in a lifetime trade right there. That short right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
you don't even need to catch the whole move.
The problem is on the short side, you have to be in it to receive the luck from the bullshit news that is going to eventually come out.
So how do you win it then? You buy puts and hold your nose?
Luck? Call it luck a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You knew Hims was going to come out and say, "Hey, the supply issue is no longer a problem anymore." You knew Hims was a fad stock. It was a hype fucking situation, man.
Yeah, look at this.
It was a hype situation. This thing trades like a small cap, man.
I know. I mean, the PLTR you mentioned, that thing's another nut job.
This thing's going to 70s. This thing's going to 70s. This thing's going to get toast.
This thing has no. I don't care how great of a company it is. It has no business up there like that.
Yo, that CEO is fucking out of his mind.
Oh, he's not.
Yo, your boy is out of his fucking mind, bro.
He bashes shorts right all day long.
He's right up there with Kanye, man, except he happens to be Jewish, which is a paradox. Which is kind of a paradox right there, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, he said some wild shit. Somebody told me an interesting story. He was an Iranian guy, and he told me right out here that PLTR has some kind of tech where all they need is your phone number. And they're inside your ass in seconds.
Yeah. I heard they got shiesty shit over there.
They have like the shadiest like spy tech out there, and I don't know. I don't know. That's what somebody told me. I didn't understand. I don't even understand this business. But he was talking about the what is it called? The Silicon Valley of Israel. Apparently, there's a lot of these cyber tech companies or whatever.
Yeah, they're known for that. Yeah,
are out in Israel, but none of them go private. None of them go public. None of them go public. They're all privately traded companies. And he was talking about a couple of these with this tech that literally could be inside of your asshole with one fucking phone number. They don't need anything else. They get everything from you.
And you got, what it is? The AI hype, let's be honest. The AI hype got pretty much behind all these things, right? If you take even some of that AI hype element out, these stocks are nowhere even close to where they've gone to, right? And you're starting to see cracks, bro. You're starting to see cracks in that AI hype. Again, not saying it's going to completely blow up and go away, but it's losing some of the luster, the sizzle. You see it on a day-to-day basis now. Even like a stud name like an Avgo, which is kind of the stud of AI, is starting to show some cracks here, right?
Yes,
and,
it is.
And that was like the last of them. Yeah. So, to your point, the PLTR, even if you don't catch that big move to the downside and short your game, you kind of you want to look to short rips in that thing, or off rips, I should say, while the market's still like this, right? While there's no momentum.
Yeah, keep going. I'm cupcaking. I'm cupcaking with an X over here. Keep going, man.
But yeah, these are, these semis we keep talking about. Ronchero and I both believe there's eventually going to be an opportunity here when it's all said and done. But you don't know how long it can take. This thing could be messy for a while. It's been messy for a while.
It's a trader's market, not an investor's market.
Yeah, no doubt. And listen, I don't know about you guys. I know the short side's been obviously a lot of the easier money net over the past month or so. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Even at the long side, I haven't been able to do jack shit. I've been scalping. When I'm scalping levered ETFs, like there's nothing getting me giddy out there. You know what I mean? If I'm forced to do that shit. But again, the half glass full of me is that I got the ammo to fire whenever Lucci's day comes to an end here.
Oh yeah.
And it always comes to an end, my friend.
Always comes to
an end.
Yeah.
I
look at it. You know what I'm looking at too right now, Jesus? I'm looking at the fact that, VIX came off a lot from those previous highs.
Yeah.
And they smashed a lot of that vol.
Yep.
But the second they pick it back up, look at how much the market reacts to it. We're down 1%, 2%, like it's fucking nothing.
Yeah.
It's nobody's business. You know what I mean? So the volatility is still there. I mean, you got Meta. Meta was down 20 points yesterday and then up fucking 15 or whatever the hell it was today at some point.
Yep. And to your point, what a lot of the talk has been is, even though VIX has come in, single name volatility is still elevated in a lot of names. You know what I mean? So again, it's more about individual names than the overall market. And to your point, the way VIX, and I don't know if you guys seen VVIX, we were talking about this. Look at this meltdown in VVIX over the last week or so here. Look at this. Came back to home by then, and then some. Like, you would think the market, right? Think about the market of the past that we've had would have squeezed a lot more than it has, right? Off and unwind like this.
Right.
And it hasn't. So
Exactly. So you're still seeing that panic. You're still seeing people wanting to sell those highs, whatever they're putting in, So if you get a 40, 50 point move and all this kind of stuff, on Tesla or whatever, there's people that are selling right into it. I'm interested in BTC. BTC is held up very, very well, surprisingly way better than the overall markets, as well as all these other altcoins. I think the news favors the crypto markets a little bit more right now, but I think
you got a little bit of that gold element to it, that kind of away from equities, away from the dollar. Like, why are they buying gold? Or you don't think so?
I don't know, man. I haven't been looking. I haven't fed into that at all. But just from a price action standpoint, Jesus Christ, gold.
It's quiet, right? This Bitcoin.
You know what? I'm about to call my mother and ask her how much gold now worth that we have just trapped up in that safe.
Been loading up, right?
Yeah, she got all this gold that she's waiting to give to the kid when she gets married and shit. I'm about to yank that, sell it all. And then go, and then you know what I'm gonna do with the proceeds? Short the motherfucking market.
Short it.
That's what I'm gonna do.
But gold has been definitely the outlier here. I mean, what a strong bid. You got central banks buying it and all. But here's the thing for all you guys out there, and kind of just on the flow show topic. For me, it comes down to two things here. One or two things, and you've heard me say this. I want to see buyers show up in a really aggressive way in names, right? That'll get me excited, and that'll get me at least to start to piece in to some stuff, okay? Or if they don't show up, I need shit to get washed out, and I mean washed out completely. Yeah. You understand? I'm not jumping in, especially without any institutional money, sweeper money getting excited. I'm not jumping in when there's still stuff, there's still supply, there's still longs that can get shaken out of this market.
Yep.
So one of those two things have to play out for me to get excited on the long side.
Indeed.
I think what has been, especially in this environment, looking at it every day, and instead of being kind of stressed out about, am I going to catch the long? Am I going to catch the long? Is using all of this new shit that has been rolled out by Lucci in the futures room, and using what I use and layering it on top of what he's using.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just the strength of the tools that we have available right now, especially in a trading market, has been freaking ridiculous. Like,
it's crazy.
Well, this is the market.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
This is the scalping market for
Ronch is 100% right. Like the new way that I've now started to look at the market, just using these gamma tools. Not only that, just watching the VIX so much more. And all these other tools that we've created in here, using them all together, like some good shit in here. And it's great for day trading. It's great for writing. It's great for whatever you want to do in reality. So 100%, Ronch. I couldn't agree more.
Indeed. And then from an individual name standpoint, Jay, do you have a list of, quote unquote, quality that you want to buy when and if things finally settle down?
Yeah. So the way I approach that is kind of like this, right? The initial goal, right, when I get into correction, is I try to remain patient, because the biggest problem for all of us is you get itchy, you get that feeling that you got the cash to put to work. Let me put something to work, right? Maybe I catch the lows, even if I'm a little bit early. I don't want to miss any rally. That's always the worst feeling to battle when you're fortunate enough to be in cash into a correction, right? But so the way I like to approach it is I want the action to kind of get my attention, force me into taking action. Okay. So if, let's say I come in tomorrow, like we've been talking about how bad the flow is. I'm not excited about anything, blah, 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 blah. Tomorrow we come in and they start, accumulating and building positions with some time in certain names. That's obviously going to stick out and get my attention. And when it gets your attention to the point where, you want to start putting some money to work. Again, you don't have to take a full position, even if you think the market still has some work to do. But you could start putting some money to work, or even more so, you can build a watch list, right? If you want to even be more prudent about it. So that's initially, that's the frame of mind I want to go into a correction with. I don't want to necessarily have names that I'm targeting, because I can very easily get reeled into buying a name that's down so much just because it's down so much. You understand? And I've seen that backfire too many times. So I want, kind of to your point, I want to see some of that big money, smart money. I want to see them dip their toe in first. You understand? Let them be the first to get in there and start buying. And I want to be around that action. Okay. But sometimes you go through markets where it's, such a deep buyer strike, because people got caught off sides in a big way, that you can go a lengthy period of time without that. It's certainly possible. That's when on the positioning side, when you get everything washed out to the point where there's no longs left in the market, that's where I kind of, I start looking at names, quality names I'd be interested in over a longer term time horizon, on my own. So it's more on the positioning side when I'll come up with the ideas, but I try to stick to sweepers as that idea generator before that time.
Indeed.
Ronchero, you probably already have names you're like, I'm sure you're already eyeing like an Avgo, right? To see where it might find some buyers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was always taught in a drawdown, at a minimum, you want to have 5, maybe 10 names that are of, really high quality, that if you get an opportunity to buy them at a discount, that you make sure that you get a piece of it, right?
Right.
Yeah, mine is Boeing.
Yo, Boeing doesn't.
Mine is Boeing. Yeah, mine is Boeing. Mine is Boeing and Netflix, even though I fucking hate this thing.
Yeah, Netflix has been a beast.
That and Melly, that Mercado Libre, you can't fucking kill this thing.
No,
you can't kill this thing.
No.
Yeah, and this has got that overseas wrinkle to it too.
Yeah.
But the Boeing, you know, I hate to say it, like it's hard for me to even say it, but
looks different.
yeah, I mean, you could see it performing better this year with all the shit around it. You know, it's hard to not. What's not factored into Boeing right now at this point, right? What negative news is not factored into Boeing?
That's what I'm saying, man. So
Yeah.
unless there's more crashes, which even at this point, I don't think it matters.
Get a lot worse. Yeah,
Restatement for earnings and fraud is what else could.
Yeah, exactly. They cook the books.
You know.
But again, I'm not buying it, but I just I figured I'd gas your idea up a little bit. I could definitely see it. You know, I could definitely see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, flow. As far as flow, like we talk about, you know, even if you're not doing much right now, you want to pay attention to the flow so you can pick up on some of the earlier signs. You know, they really, like we talked about this Freeport that has seen some flow, but look at the tough time here, right? Like Freeport, I think they started buying over here, if I'm not mistaken, and they've been buying off pullbacks ever since. So you held through all this to get to here. You know, is that worth it? I mean, I don't know. Is that worth it? I don't think it's worth it. Right?
They crushed me on that one, Jay. That one is
like you know, a couple people in the room traded around it, right, and made some money with it. Like if you did the work, you could have came out okay. Mm-hmm. But you know, maybe it's just the old timer in me at this point in the game. I don't have the itch where I need to buy something to give myself agita. You know, I don't have that feeling. Like I rather wait and have kind of. There's nothing better than that smooth trip. Right? There's nothing better when you have the tailwind at your back, in a sense. So it's worth waiting around for that. It's worth waiting around for it.
There's a question in the chat actually, for Jay to start, and Ronchi and you guys could probably add on to this, but it says, how long do these buyer strikes generally last?
Oh, hang on. Call Miss Cleo.
I knew that was coming. Yeah, well, like I mentioned, that's kind of the problem. You really don't know. Okay, it's not going to last forever, obviously. But like example, like I think of even the worst of times, right? Like you have the post 2000 Nasdaq bubble. Okay, the initial that's when that big tech bubble burst. Like that whole theme came to an end. So that's pretty bad. Okay, you had that initial stage of that correction. There was a buyer strike, okay? You had tech names blowing up. Nobody wanted to own anything. It was pretty bad. But then after that initial drawdown, you had under the hood some real rotation. You guys hear me talk about it a lot. There was a real bull market in a lot of different things while that tech bubble popped, bursted, and went dead, okay? So every market's different. You know, every market's different. 2022, you had the Fed tightening, rigging the game. There was a buyer strike there for quite a while. And then money started rotating into like energy names, commodity names, pharmaceutical names, you know. So it's all different, but it's worth waiting around for because especially if you're an option player, right? If you're buying calls, chop is going to be just as costly as a stock crashing. Right? If you buy calls 3 months out and the stock dips a little bit and chops for the remainder or crashes, it's the same shit, right? They're all going worthless by expiration. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's the way I look at it. If you're primarily playing the call side, you're playing options, you want shit to line up where you got a, you know, good probability of momentum there, right?
If you don't have it, all you're gonna be left with is fucking burn premium. Do you know what that? Do you remember the Baba? You remember the Baba? Everybody was plugging for that, man. Alibaba, new AI, blah blah blah. Whatever the fuck that shit was.
A place to hide. Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter once the market comes in. It doesn't fucking matter, man. I got blown to smithereens buying that option up there. Even though I have time on it, I'm still down 40-50% of my option, man. So you got to kick it to the curb.
I mean, I think you really have to understand that, you know, just to address the question though, like how long does it generally last? To your point, Jay, there's no way of actually knowing that. And like you said, every situation is different. The key is recognizing when it changes and what are you going to apply once you've recognized the change. So
exactly,
it's
reacting
so hard to
to
catch
it.
it otherwise. It's really difficult.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. And so we get caught up, all of us, in trying to forecast, right? Because you always prediction in this game is always an element of prediction involved. But the better approach is being prepared to react to the situation instead of predicting which situation will show up. Because again, you don't have to catch the lows. Think of it logically, guys. If you had a elevated cash position when the market bottomed in 2022, okay, you could have waited to well into 2023 and made a shitload of money. Like, that's when some real bullshit started to take off, well after the 2022 summer lows or fall lows or whatever it was. So you don't need to catch the lows to make serious money in an uptrend when you have the ammo to fire. You just need the ammo to fire. What a lot of retail players, what happens to them is, and it was my biggest hurdle in my whole trading career. Every time I got caught, right, I made money all the way while the bull phase was around, just as well as anybody else. But every time a correction showed up, I got caught. I gave back all my profits from that whole bull trend and then some. Every time.
I mean, we could bring this into a whole nother conversation, but I'm still so amazed that human behavior still has not changed one bit, even after getting smoked and smoked and smoked on the same fucking thing over and over and over. It makes all that shit they say in the Instagram stories and all the philosophy stuff that they say, like never make the same mistake twice. How the fuck can you say that? How can you say that to anybody? How can you even be confident saying that to fucking anybody? And anybody who says it, I just want to be like, yo, so you basically made the same mistake twice and you're just telling me not to fucking do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just the way we're wired. We're wired one way. Like, a lot of us are wired the wrong way to play this game successfully, right? Emotionally, psychologically, we're just wired differently. When we should be buying, we're afraid and getting shaken out. And when we should be selling, we're getting all excited, doing cartwheels and adding into highs. Like, that's just the way we're wired. We're fucked up.
Yeah. The other key, Jay, is if you have to, if whatever it is that you love, you're like, I have to buy this and I have to buy it here. The key, in my opinion, especially if you're an options trader, is that you give yourself enough time and that you buy the right strike and that you manage your trade with other shorter term trades so that you can get
do the work.
The cost of your trade either completely paid for or at least averaged down, so that if the worst case happens, you don't get completely blown out. You get to stay in the game.
Yep. Yeah. Again, you can't approach buying calls 3 months out like you're investing, right? It's not the same shit. It's the truth. That's how people look at it. They're literally trading calls like they're buying stock in their IRA for the long term. The problem is they expire in 3 months.
They don't know how to do it. That's the problem.
Yeah. So, but you either learn how to do it or you got to wait for a better environment where you can get away with what you know how to do. I mean, that's the only answer, really. It's the only answer.
Listen, you know what the other answer is? Don't talk to your exes, man. Just don't do it. Just don't fucking do it.
Is that what you've been doing this whole time?
That's what I've been doing this whole time, man.
About what? What are you discussing?
Just fucking, when you talk to your exes about old shit.
Oh, how are you? How is this?
Yeah,
and then it turns into like some angry ass shit. Be like, well, this motherfucker did this to me, and
fuck. Just don't do it. Don't.
Well, while you do that, Luch, then I'll hit you with a question to take your mind off your ex blowing your ass up.
Please do.
Is asked by Russell in the room. Lucci, what's the approach now with tape and the new tools in the steam room?
Tape is still tape, man. Come on, man. If you took the class and you've heard me say everything, tape is still the king. Tape is always the king. I will just use what I see to give me the idea, and then I'll go straight to the tape. So, for example, let's say we hit a level on the GEX tool. I don't know, Joe, if you can actually show the GEX tool. I'm not sure if you can actually do that. But
I can.
Let's say we hit a level on the GEX tool. So let's just pull up, I don't know, the Qs, or you can pull up the SPX. And we hit a put wall that we want to buy, or we hit a call wall that we want to sell. It doesn't mean exactly when you hit these places that you need to go and do something, right? So at those moments where the Qs topped out today, guess what else was happening? The fucking Apple was still printing highs. NVIDIA was still printing highs. Tesla was at 290, and people were still buying calls higher. There was still gas. There was still movement. There was still, people that wanted to buy in. All that sentiment has to come out first. So where do you think you're going to get it? You think you're going to get it on a fucking chart with an indicator? Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here, man. You need to bring it to something. You need to now start looking at the tape. I wasn't going to start shorting aggressively until I saw the VIX start picking up, and until I saw them starting to sell NVIDIA. And once that happened, look at it. We trashed all the way back down and then some. Yep. This market was wild today. You had setups in a big range all over the place. The problem is that we get biased, right? So everybody in the morning, let's talk about this. Everybody in the morning, I'm talking about pre-market, was already completely bearish, coming off of yesterday's price action too. Remember, yesterday's price action, Meta's down 20 points, market's down 1%, Qs are getting fucking smoked. So everybody, coming in off the open, we already gapped down. Everybody's thinking, shit, that's it. NVIDIA's down. We're going to freaking hell. You know what I mean? And then they took all of those people and they wrapped them up in a little cheese ball, right? And they fucking squeezed the living shit until the liquid starts coming out. You know what I mean? And everybody's completely fucked. SPY went almost 50 handles easy from the low there. I don't know what we went. Yeah, 50, 60 handles from the low, and then only to end up flat, basically where we fucking opened. You know what I mean? But that squeeze had to get in there, and those puts went to shit. And anybody who was shorting calls, who thought, hey, that's it, world is over, they got smoked too. And then everybody who went long, what happened at 11 o'clock? Smoked. People who went long Tesla going for 300s, 290s, all that, smoked. You know what I mean? So, we have these wide ranges now where they can easily fuck with the sentiment, and that's what they're doing. They've been doing this since the beginning of time. So that part of the tape has not changed, and it will never change. It'll look a little bit different. Maybe you'll get wider ranges. VIX will always be at a different price, but that shit will never change, man. So once everybody's trapped and not enough people are getting paid there, that's it. That's it. The trap has been set. And if you're on the wrong side, or you get caught with a bias, that's it. You're going to get fucking run over. But if you can read where people are trapped and that bias needs to come out, that's where the opportunity is. That's where it'll always be. It doesn't matter what kind of fancy tools you got and all that kind of stuff. But again, it can help. It can help bring organization. It can help bring setups. It can help reduce the number of trades that you're making. You know what I mean? So tape is always tape, man. When I get in a trade, I'm looking at the level 2. I ain't going nowhere.
And by the way, for those of you out there who just listen, I think he used a great job of using adjectives there to get the point across. For those of you who are primarily swing traders and you're getting wrapped up into the everyday movement of shit.
And you have to add on, Jesus, if they're swing trading options too.
Right. I mean, you're going to lose your mind. You know? You're going to lose your marbles.
So I'm doing that, and I'm doing that. So I have my swing account, and I'm just short. I'm just short, but I'm short in the maze. And half these options I'm down 40, 50%. I don't give a damn. I'm going to keep buying. Now, when I test the timing of it, and my scalps intraday are lining up, and it's like, oh shit, we're ready to come off. Yeah. I'll start moving into the front week. I'll start moving into the front months. I'll start moving in, and then of course, if I'm wrong, I gotta pull off.
But you're a rare bird. You know what I mean? You're a rare bird. People can't figure out how you do some shit you do. You know, you're a fucking whack job.
To Lucci's point, though, like when he looks for the other side of the boat to freaking capsize.
Yeah.
You know, using the information that we have available to us. And Lucci, I know you've never been a big guy about, well, you know, I don't give a shit about a line on a chart. And I get that. For me, is the line on the chart an indicator for me to look at the tape, and can I spot the change in tape? Because I don't think anybody can read tape like you can. I certainly can't. I've been trying to do it forever. And the easiest way for me to do it is to look for a spot using some helpers. Either it's the Gex tool, the put call wall, all of those things. And then do I see change in tape? That's where I can succeed. I can't sit there and watch it all day like you, but I can look in spots.
Yeah,
100%.
What Lucci does well and different, though, Ronchero, is and you don't see it done by many people because they can't do it. He, like, you see what he says? Oh, I'm buying and I'll buy a little bit more, but then I'll move over there and short the living piss out of it. Yep. He'll take stabs and feelers all over the yard.
All over.
You know what I mean? And not give a shit about what the end up result on any of that shit is.
I just want information. I want information.
He just wants to feel out where that big trade may be.
I'm plugging to find where the pain is. Like where.
So he'll make those small donations and he don't give a shit because ultimately he knows if he finds the right trade, he'll wash all that away. And
it's always coming. It's always coming. It always comes. You guys know, after every 2-3 weeks, we have a ridiculous trending day. The same thing happened the other day when they gapped us up. When they gapped us up this Monday. That was Monday. It seems like a month ago. When they gapped us up on Monday, literally. Everybody
that was Tesla. Wasn't it Tesla just shot out of a cannon right from the open?
Everybody was trapped. So what did I do? I bought 100-lot Tesla right off the open. You saw me in there.
I saw that. Yeah.
I'm just ping, 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 ping. I'm shooting. Trying every single dip I can get my fucking hands on. SPX, Qs, everything. And sometimes you just get that momentum because everybody's positioned on the wrong way. You got no choice. Off the open, you have to do the same thing. And when everybody's on one side of the tape, shit, man, there's 3x, 4x, 5x to be made, man. Same thing happened in that APP today. Of course, they happen in different scenarios, you know, but that's what I look for because the rest of it is just range trading. And I haven't been the greatest at range trading, but dude, ever since these tools that we've built have hit, now I am way better at range trading. I am fucking way better at range trading.
I'm only taking like 1 or 2 trades a day because when I was trying to keep up with you off of the open, I was hitting my head on the wall. So I stopped. And now it's 1 or 2 trades based off of what we have. And listen, this squeezometer trade that we've had, we're 4 for 4 on all of these Gex trades that we have. In the last couple of weeks, I'm like 8 for 10. Like, so it's, you know, it works. It's just, what's your time frame? Where do you decide to trade? What part of the day are you good and what part of the day are you bad? I can't trade opens. I know that. So
Yo, Lucci, you should tell your girl to go put the stream on because, you know, Jay and them are just glazing the shit out of you and just being like, yeah, look at this. Look at how much they love me in here, baby. Look at this shit.
Dude. She's coming to PR too. I'm in trouble, bro. I'm in trouble, bro. It's all downhill from here, man. And if you don't hear me in the month of June, you already know what happened.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. I mean, unless you guys got anything else you want to share, I mean, this is a good, you know, ending point for us. There's not many, you know, other questions inside the chat. You know, anybody got anything else you guys want to talk about? Good.
Not really. Again, I just for those of you, especially more on the overnight swing trading side, position side, I think it still makes sense to be a little bit patient here. And again, it's not rocket science when you start to see the momentum shift. You can start seeing names start breaking out. Charts are going to look more constructive. Be more of an idealist. We'll be talking about on webinars. We'll be discussing more names. So you'll see gradually you start to see a lot more of these constructive signs. And I think that's when you start to open up a little bit. But, you know, this, like kind of what Ronchero and Lucci are talking about, those scalping tools, the range, they get you through the range. Because listen, if you don't if you don't have the conviction in something that can get you through it, you're better off just not trading through it because you're going to nick yourself up for no reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what happens. People get beat up in this type of tape, and they're not around to take advantage of that better climate. When any Joe Schmo can, chase a sweep and make money on the upside, right?
Well, listen, you got to rinse those guys out because like you see questions like what we've had some posted like, well, how long does it normally last? Like there are a lot of traders out there that are either new or haven't been through this type of market before, and they're not quite sure how to react. And those are the ones that if they don't go looking for some help are going to think they know what has been going on because they've been doing this for the last 2 years, and they're going to get wiped out. And we need those guys to get wiped out.
Yeah. McElliott had that. You saw the McElliott note? He goes, just let me leave you off with this. A gentleman on Twitter with 80,000 followers with the comments, "Oh my God, is this how bad the COVID crash was?" Remember that? That was fucking classic.
Oh my God, I got this one kid at the office that won't shut the fuck up about that. He'll always peep over. He'll be like, "Was this what 2020 was like? Was this what 2020?" I'm like, "Motherfucker, just trade what it is right now. Just stop asking questions, bro."
2020 was like our 2008, Luke. That's how it was for them. They hear the story.
But 100%, they haven't seen anything like this, man. They haven't seen anything like this. Let's end with this. April 2nd, Trump is supposedly going big on the tariffs. That's what I think everybody's waiting for.
Yeah, that's definitely what everyone's waiting for.
What happens?
Again,
with that.
If there's kind of no big surprises, I think you get a nice relief squeeze. But if there's some surprises in there that the market doesn't like, obviously it may rock the boat a little bit. But to your point, I think the lack of buyers to the degree we're seeing, in my opinion, that's what's holding even just the short-term squeeze players back, from getting involved. Because it's right around the corner. You might as well wait to see what that looks like.
Yeah. Ron,
so we should get things loosen up a little bit around that time anyway.
I can tell you what I want as opposed to I think what's going to happen. I want some kind of news or shock like that to grab the SPX by the throat and shake the living fuck out of it and just blast this thing down 17-20% and get everybody and their brothers to talk about how the sky is falling, and then I'll have
then you come in.
Yep.
Luch, just think of this, right? Let's all think of it. What would happen if there was another 2008 with these type of kind of the mentality out there now?
Bro. It would be so much worse because now with Instagram and TikTok,
God, can you imagine?
Our own daughters would be taking flights just to come see us and to check on us and see if we're okay.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They don't know shit. They don't know shit about shit, but they'll look at TikTok and be like, "Oh my God, I wonder how my father's doing." That thought will come to their mind for the first time fucking ever.
Have you gotten that yet, Luch? Has someone hit you?
She'll hit me up. She'll be like, "So, did we make money today? The market's going down." I'm like, "This fucking."
Oh man!
I got my first check-in when the yen fiasco happened, where someone's like, "Yo, how's Joe doing?" Like everyone was asking me. I'm like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?" Right when we had those like 3 gap down days.
No, but that's what I want. That's what I want. And honestly, Jesus, I don't think any of this generation would be able to look at that and then things be all right. Like if we have a 3%, 4% down day and this market's down, SPY's down 20, 30 points. I mean, that's it. It's top headlines for a long period in time. And it'll shake people to the point where.
Can you imagine that 2008? Forget about even the market, the noise, the news, big banks going under.
Oh, yeah.
The panic that would be out there, right?
Yeah. So the amount of clickbait and the amount of all this stuff that we have, it'll be something that you've never seen. And in reality, maybe it could even exacerbate the move. And that's what emotions are. That's what me and Ronchero do. This is what me and Ronchero do. This is what we do, man. So if that emotion is at that all-time high and it keeps going and it keeps stretching and there's so much pain, that's
when millions of dollars show up. Millions show up.
God, it's heaven. It's heaven. And I'm ready, man. I'm psyched, man. I just need to block my ex, you know what I'm saying? And then I'll be good.
Oh God. Well, on that note, thank you guys all for joining us. If you want to check out the tools that Lucci and Ronch and Jay were talking about, pop into the Steam Room, 14-day trial, $7.99, steamroomtrading.com. come try it out. This is the market for it. The range trading has been incredible. They have a lot of great strategies in our futures and index room. And of course, if you want to hear Ronchero and Jay and now myself yap a lot more on broadcast, hop into the Steam Room. Check us out. We talk about this stuff on a day-to-day basis. So thank you guys for joining. Lucci, Ronch, Jay, see you guys tomorrow.
Yep.
Appreciate you guys stepping in.
Friday, fun day, baby. Later.
See ya.